Welcome back to Business First Creatives podcast. Today's guest is Lisa DiGeso, and she is amazing. I'm going to let her tell you all about what she does and who she serves. And so, Lisa, welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm awesome. Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to be chatting with you today. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, and where you're located.
Well, my name is Lisa DiGeso, and first and foremost, I'm a wife and a mama. I've got a 13-year-old little boy, and not so little anymore. He's playing football. So, yeah, not so little. And I'm based in Kamloops, British Columbia, Canada. And I've been a photographer with Milk and Honey Photography, my own business, for about 13 years. Back in 2012, I started the Milky Way with my business partner, Erin, and I'm the producer of the Online Retreat series, as well as the host of the Art and Soul Show podcast. And I just love being a photographer, educating photographers, all things photography, honestly.
Yes. I mean, you are so multi-talented. I mean, it's definitely goals for me. But today we are going to talk about those retreats. So tell me how the retreats came about and why you think they're so important for our industry.
So, back in 2016, that was sort of the year when all these online summits just started coming out. And if you remember in the beginning, they really were pitched as a free online summit where you kind of just get pitched from the stage. You wouldn't really be getting a whole lot of content. It was more of just constant sales pitches. It would be like 30 webinars that you would sign up to watch. And I found them to be so frustrating and, to be completely honest, a total waste of my time, just to be, like spending an hour trying to listen to something to learn something, but then you didn't learn anything. And then you're like, oh, you just want me to come buy something for you. So I said to my business partner, I was like, what would be amazing is if there was something that was like a no pitch, like presentation where you like just bought a ticket and you had all these incredible educators that you could learn from. So it was like kind of like a first date if you hadn't heard from them. So they were giving you like their best material. And like if you wanted to go on and learn with them later, cool. But there was like zero pressure to do that. So we're just talking about that. And I was like, that would be really amazing if that was like created. She's like, well, why don't we do that? And I was like, yeah, why don't we do that? So we did.
Yes.
So we've produced, I think, over 20 online educational experiences over the past 7 years. We average around 2,000 students or so per event. So it's just this like really yummy, welcoming community. And one thing that is really incredible and unusual about our communities is there is zero drama. Like there is like you've been a teacher for one of our retreats, and like
Mm-hmm.
there is no drama, and that is so rare, not only in our industry but in a group of that size. And everyone's just really encouraging and uplifting, and that's just sort of the culture of what we want to do, and how we want to leave that mark on the industry is creating kind, compassionate photographers who actually genuinely care about each other and each other's success.
I am definitely not a fan of webinars, sales pitches. Like I have never actually done a webinar where I
Oh.
pitched my course at the end. I just cannot find the energy to do that. And maybe it's because I was a professor for so long, but like when I sit down to teach you, I want you to walk away with something. I don't want you to walk away thinking that you have to pay me for the actual knowledge that you thought that you were going to get when you sit down. So no, I mean that's fascinating because I did not know the history of the retreats. And it's so funny that you're like, all these online summits came to be because I feel like as photographers, you can do a lot of in-person learning. And I think that there is definitely a time and a place for in-person learning. I know myself when I have gone to like retreats or mentorships and gotten one-on-one or really small group learning with the people that I've paid to learn from, I have gained a lot in my business, with my
Yeah.
creativity and my photography. But like you said, it is really hard to pay someone $2,000 for that in-person experience
Yeah.
if you've never been able to experience what it is that they offer before. So, I mean, talking about the retreat as a first date is absolutely brilliant because I would imagine that, there are a lot of people that purchase the retreat because they're like, oh, I've wanted to learn from this one person for so long. And so now I can like see how they are along with 20 other amazing instructors and see, what they offer, what value there is. So, no, that is fascinating. And so, the premise of this podcast, Business First Creatives. And so I know the first several retreats that you hosted were creative, like they
Yeah.
were newborn or they were family. But so how did you jump into the business retreat? Because we know the second business retreat is right around the corner.
Well, to be honest, we really, I love the art side, but I absolutely know the importance of really dialing in the business side. Like, as photographers, we want to spend all that time learning new skills, shopping online, doing all the fun things. We don't want to think about marketing strategies and CRMs. And like, that's not the sexy business. But the unfortunate nature is if you want to have a thriving and successful business that's continuing to grow, you have to stay educated. You have to stay what's up and coming on trends, and you have to continue to do that. So even though it was not a really a natural fit for me in the beginning, we kind of decided that we really wanted to make sure that our students were getting the best education out there. And I really have a stringent vetting policy on how I vet our teachers. Like, they have to be people that are walking the walk, that are giving the best advice to our
Love that.
students, right? Like, it's so important that it's not self on the stage, or it's just like wishy-washy information that may or may not work in theory. It's like actually actionable information that they're going to be able to take away and get results very quickly. So that was sort of how the business retreat sort of came to be. We did one a few years ago, and it was great. And so our students have been saying, when's the next one? Can we have another one? Can we have another one? And then we had like a little pandemic in the middle of that.
A
And
little.
then yeah, just a little pandemic that happened over that. And so we kind of decided that December of this year was going to be like the back to school for photographers, to
Oh, love
brush
it.
up on your skills, to get your marketing ready. Instead of waiting to the 1st of January, we're working on what our marketing plans, how we're working on our time management, maybe our money mindset, working on our website, whether it's our copy or our SEO, and just making sure we're scheduling that time to work on our businesses instead of just in our businesses.
Absolutely, Lisa. And I think one of the things that makes me so excited for the business retreat is that it is all focused on business. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no talks for this one that are focused on the creativity. And
No.
there's a time and a place for the creativity, but I just feel like personally, and this mostly happens to me when I go to in-person events, I will say, but I have gone to so many in-person photography conferences, and it's talk after talk after
Yeah.
talk that are creativity,
Yeah.
learning how to take better pictures, learning how to work with your clients. But the business is always lacking. There's like
Yeah.
one or two hidden gems where people are talking about actual business topics, but the rest of it is creativity. And so, I'm absolutely obsessed with the business side of things. And so I am really excited for the business retreat. And like you said, I in September, it's like back to school, because I think that way too many photographers think that January and
No.
February is when they should work on their business.
No.
And the truth is, that is downtime. It is perfect to
Yeah.
work on your business in January and February. But those tasks should not be relegated to the winter
No.
just because you're not shooting sessions. And what I've personally found, like when it comes to setting up your CRM, it's great that you're setting, aside the time to do it in January and February, but then you don't actually have any clients to test your
Mm-mm.
system.
Yeah.
Like you do all for websites, for example, if you go and you do awesome and amazing SEO, it might be months before you. Now, granted, we know it takes months for SEO to work. No one in my audience think that's what I'm saying, but like it might take you months before you figure out that you've even done some of the right things
Yeah.
because you're not getting a lot of inquiries for
Yeah.
family fall sessions in January and February. So, what is your favorite part of hosting the online retreats?
Seeing the transformation from the students, how quickly it happens. And from someone who's feeling either burnt out or frustrated or not getting clients, to someone who within weeks is taking massive action. They're setting out the schedules, they're setting out the time, they're taking that time to learn. Seeing them transform is the absolute gold of my life, like watching people grow.
And I think one of the best things about the retreats to me is the fact that you do the Facebook group
Yeah.
and you have the thread for each teacher where
Yeah.
the students can go in and ask the teachers their specific questions during that time frame when all of the teachers are required to check the Facebook
Yeah.
group every day to make sure that the students are getting their questions answered. I do think that that is so different than what I've seen for other online education venues in photography, and quite frankly outside of photography. I
Yeah.
mean, you buy this presentation, you watch it, and there's never really an opportunity to interact with that
Yeah.
teacher and get your questions answered, because it's maybe a pretty lofty goal nowadays to where you can put a presentation out and the students are able to watch it and then immediately take action without any questions. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't think that
It's
happens very
rare.
often. It's very rare. And so I love that, people can go and they can ask questions, and it's fascinating to me. And I love what you said about your vetting process, because I feel like one of the things that I hear from photographers so much when they are contemplating going to an in-person event, buying an online course, is that they don't quite know what to expect.
Yeah.
And so you kind of making sure that the teachers that you're choosing are walking the walk, instead of, having a great reputation, lots of Instagram fans,
Yeah.
but when it comes to the actual knowledge that they are giving their students, let's be honest, a lot of times it can be very lackluster.
Yeah. Yeah. It takes a lot for me to put my name and to put our company's name behind a photographer. And so we really do have a stringent vetting process. And I think the most important thing for me is because I'm often in their groups. I'm always watching too. I'm such a little nerd. I'm always nosing around. Like I seriously should have been a private eye in a pre like maybe in my next life I'll be a private eye because I love learning about people and just watching. And so I watch them as leaders in their own groups. I watch how they are communicating and holding the hands of their own students. So that is something that is really important. How they're interacting with their fans on whether it's Instagram or even TikTok. TikTok's kind of blowing up a little bit, and just kind of what's their energy and are they going to be a good fit? And not everyone is, and that's totally fine. Like I'm not for everybody. That's cool. And it's been really really cool to make so many. Like I've made hundreds and hundreds of friends of people I haven't met in person who have
Mhm.
come to teach for us. So it's such an amazing experience. And that they've gone on to have their workshops filled or even their sessions filled by all these students that they've met who've become their super fans. So I just think it's just like, it's so fun. Like I just love my life. I really
And
do.
so I know that you're not shooting much anymore, but
Mhm.
what is it that you see? Like, what systems do you currently have in your business? And it can be for the retreat, since I know that
Yeah.
you're not actively shooting. But what systems do you have in your business that are currently working well?
So we as like because I basically have two companies. I've got two business. So the Milky Way that we use, oh gosh, I think we use ConvertKit. I don't do the tech side to be completely honest. That's my business partner,
Mhm.
and she's amazing, and we've got an incredible team that takes care of that. But I will touch on what I'm using for my photography business because I've actually decided I'm doing a business overhaul. I
Okay.
basically decided to give myself a sabbatical for a year, and then I was like, if I were to redesign my photography business with all the knowledge that I have now,
Mhm.
what would I do and what would I create? So this is my project that I'm doing. I'm redoing my pricing. I'm redoing all the CRMs. I'm switching from Mailchimp to Flowdesk. Like I'm currently with Irisworks and trying to decide if I'm going to switch to HoneyBook. I'm moving from a WordPress site to a Show It site. I'm adding in PickTime. Like I'm doing all these things
You're doing
that
all the things, Lisa. Oh my
like
gosh.
all the things, right? Because I want to know that it works and I want to know that I have tried it. If this is something that I am representing for these companies and our students are learning this, I want to know that I've tried it and I can, be knowledgeable to speak on it too.
So, out
Mm.
of all of these transformations, because I mean, goodness, you just said that you are changing your email marketing
Everything.
program, your website, your CRM. I mean, your online gallery software.
Yeah.
What has been the hardest change?
The hardest change is deciding what you want to do because
Okay.
honestly, it's the hardest part is actually just making the decision. And it's like action is easy. Like you
Hmm.
just one foot in front of the other, just stay consistent, keep doing the thing. But the hardest part is actually making that decision of what you want, what aligns with you, what kind of business you want to have, what kind of clients you want to serve. Um, doing the budgeting and looking at your actual numbers of what
Yes.
it takes to run your business, instead of just being like, I think I want to make $2,500 a month, but I also spend $3,000 a month, so that just doesn't work. So it's like, actually, like, with the knowledge that I have, like, start again, restart, and just see what this looks like. How does this feel? Because we can pivot at any time.
Oh, I love that you use
Mm-hmm.
the word pivot. Let's talk about your pricing since you
Yeah,
just touched on that.
yeah,
I know that you just ran your numbers so that
yeah.
you could increase and change your pricing structure going forward. But before now, when was the last time that you legitimately ran your numbers in your photography business?
2013.
Girl, shut
I
up.
know, I know. And because I would put my head in the sand, I was like, no, no, I'm just too busy. I'm busy with Milky Way. I'm doing other things. I'm doing other things. And so it just kind of became this giant mountain of like stinky that I was like trying to like just ignore. And I kept, that closet that you just keep throwing stuff in. You're like, and then one day it just blows open and you're like,
I'm looking at mine.
now I got to deal with this. So that's kind of what I did with my business. And it just got to the point where it got so smelly and uncomfortable that I was like, stop. Like, I have to pull everything out of the closet so I can put everything back in the order that I want it. And some things I'm going to get rid of.
That's amazing, Lisa. I mean, I will say I'm really shocked to hear that you hadn't redone your numbers since 2013.
Yeah, I know. I
Listening
know.
audience, everyone should be running their numbers at
Yes.
least once a year. And I will say one of the biggest things that I did during the pandemic was I finally hired bookkeepers.
Yeah.
I mean, I am a numbers person and I had a really good, grasp of my numbers. I might not have been fully running my numbers every year, but like I knew where they were about for like almost
Yeah.
every expense category and that forth. But one of the things that I love about having a bookkeeper now is every 6 months they present me with this.
Yeah.
This is your profit and loss,
Yeah.
Coley.
Yeah.
These are the things that you might want to make sure that you actually need to spend this much money on. Because guys, my education budget is out of control. So is my software budget. But that's a talk for another day.
Same Z's.
I mean, so in terms of like, because you said that the biggest struggle is making the decision. So if you were going to give someone a tip, because they think that they want to switch their CRM, they think that they want to switch their email marketing program, what is a tip that you will give someone on how they can do the research in order to make that decision and then put one foot in front of the other to take the action?
I think it first comes down to aligning with what kind of life you want to live. Like, do you want to be someone who is taking 4 sessions a week, who is editing those 4 sessions a week, who's booking those 4 sessions a week, who's cleaning and driving and doing all the things that goes in with that? Because we don't always think about the time invested. We look at the dollar sign and
Mm-hmm.
how much my clients are going to pay. You know what? Your clients are going to pay what you tell them to pay.
Yes.
And so I think the hardest part for me was like just figuring out what I wanted and being honest with what I wanted. Like, I thought that for success for me was to have like this amazing, thriving educational platform where I'm serving, thousands of photographers. But also I thought it would be amazing if I had this amazing photography business where I've got 20 clients a month. And
That's a lot.
I can't do both. I tried for years. I ended up with a thyroid condition. Um, I physically have had burnout so many times that I had to get really real what I wanted my life to look like. And I think once I was able to just look at everything with blinders off, I got real that like I kind of just maybe only want to shoot 12 clients a year. And like to some people that's going to be like, oh my gosh, like why even bother? But it's like,
Because you enjoy shooting the 12
because I
clients.
love it, and the service that I can give these amazing clients. And what I came to realize is that I really was starting to resent my clients for paying the price that I told them to pay me because I didn't feel like it was enough for the time that I was giving them. So it was like this kind of this weird loop of like resenting someone for something that I told them to do. Like, that
That
doesn't
never
make
ends well.
sense, right? Like, so it's like, how about if I tell them to do something different and then I can do something different and not resent them? So that was sort of what I needed to do. So basically, I just told my business, told my clients that I'm pressing stop. Like, everybody's has to get off the ride right now because I need to fix the ride. And
Mhm.
if you want to come back and it's going to be a different price, That's your choice. But this is how much it's going to cost for my ride.
Mm-hmm. No, and I will say, I think when I was on your podcast, we were talking about the pivots that I've made in my business this year. And one of the things that I came to the conclusion of when I did a VIP day with my business coach is that after this year, I don't plan on marketing photography or
Yeah.
really taking new clients. I plan on
Yeah.
servicing the clients that are in my membership, servicing the clients that I've had, for years. But like I am pressing pause on that part of my business so that I can move on and do the things that are currently bringing me
Yeah.
joy, which is helping everybody run their business in a more sustainable way. So
Yes.
I totally get it. And I
Yeah.
know you were like, well, I only want to service 12 clients. I mean, I think I'm going to be, when I'm done and everything is, all said and done at the end of the year, going forward, I'm probably going to be doing something like 25 sessions a year
Yeah.
going forward, is what I expect from,
Yeah.
the current client load that I have. And I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I know. And
because
the thing is, and I think that's I love that you're talking on this, because I think so many photographers just get in their head that there's really only one way to run a business. You either have to like be a shoot and burner, or you have to be an IPS, like spend all your time with your clients and give them like 85 hours of your time to design an album. Like
mm-hmm.
there's so many different ways to run a business, which is part of the reason the retreats even exist too, is to show photographers there's more than one way. And you are going to have to figure out what works for you, what aligns with you, and what feels right in order to create the business that you're going to love.
I didn't think of the retreat, but you know what? It's like a buffet.
It is.
It's like you can go and just sample
Pick
a
and
bunch of
choose.
different things from people and you can figure out what works best for
Yeah.
your business.
And the
I mean,
best part, Chloe, the best part is you get to take your Tupperware container to the buffet. You don't have to sit down and eat it all in one. You can take it home and watch it later on your own pace, on your own schedule. You can eat it next year if you want to.
you can. You can. I mean, yes. Yes. And I mean, I've had this conversation with many other mentors and educators, but I think part of the problem is that when photographers are newer and they're trying to figure out what they like, there's this really bad habit where you latch onto one person
Yes.
and you take everything that they say and you try to fit it into your business, no matter if it's a good fit or not.
Yeah.
Like you're just like, this person is successful. They are doing what it is that I want to do. And so let me basically just copy their business.
Yeah.
I also see the other side of that though. Instead of latching onto one person and basically just trying to implement their whole business, you go to a bunch of different people. You try to take the little pieces that you like from each of them. And when you put those things together, it is not cohesive at all.
Yeah. Sometimes
So
it doesn't work. Yeah.
I mean, so part of you taking a pause or a sabbatical in your business, or if you're a newer photographer and you're trying to figure things out, part of the struggle is figuring out what pieces you want for,
Yes.
everywhere in your business, and then putting those things together and making sure that they work together before you actually make that offer to your leads and your potential clients. Because there's really nothing worse than like throwing together an offer and putting it out there and someone tells you no and you're like, oh, it was my price. 9 times out of 10, it is never the price.
No.
It might be the price for that one person. But if everyone is telling you no, it is typically not that you are priced too high. I mean, I argue all the time, you're priced too low.
Yeah.
But most people don't believe me when I say that. So then, let's look at the rest of your offer. Let's see how you're presenting it on your website, what your booking process is looking like. Are you actually charging prices that are sustainable for you in the long run? Basically, all of these things that you are doing on your sabbatical, Lisa. So it's interesting. I think I'm going to have you back when everything is said and done so that you can tell us about the decisions that you've made and how they are working all together. I mean, and I think that you could take some of the things from the business retreat.
Oh, honestly, and that's part of the reason I love creating them, is because I get to learn all this stuff too.
All the stuff. So I ask every single one of my guests this one question. So I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
So Lisa, what was the biggest fuck up that you had? And I'm going to say it can be your photography business or your education business. But what is the biggest fuck up that you had? What did you learn from it? And how did your business change after?
You're going to love this one because you are the CRM queen. And so this is going to touch your heart. So one morning, middle of October, 2012, 2013, Just got out of the shower. Standing there in my bathrobe, towel on my head. Open the door in my towel, thinking it's FedEx guy. Super pumped. It was a client with her newborn. I had booked a newborn session at my home studio. Didn't remember it. Forgot I did it. Didn't put it in a CRM because I didn't have one at the time. And I couldn't send her away. So I was like, oh my gosh. So I went and like put my clothes on. My studio wasn't heated. It takes me 2 hours to heat the studio to get it to like 25 degrees, 26 degrees. So she came in, made her a coffee. My studio was a disaster from the day before. There was baby poop on stuff. Like, it was humiliating. I was like, this is like the least professional I have ever felt or ever been, and this will never happen to me again. So after that experience, I started researching CRMs. And basically that was the catalyst to me. I think I first started with, oh gosh, I think it was Studio Ninja, and then 17 Hats. And then I've been with Iris for about 6 years now, I think.
Okay.
But I'm thinking about maybe Honeybook now. So, but I really like when you create systems that you can't fuck up, it makes your life so much
So much
easier.
easier.
You don't have like a client showing up at your house the day before, because you have these auto reminders, not only to your client, but to yourself that, oh yes, Lisa, it's on your calendar. You have a session tomorrow, right? So I think basically just getting out of my own way, because I was my own biggest kryptonite by not writing things down, by not being organized. I unintentionally or perhaps intentionally created the chaos. And it just isn't a healthy place to live.
Constantly being stressful,
Mm-mm.
constantly being stressed about what's going on in your business,
No.
and basically the unknown is like the worst. I mean,
Yeah.
I've recently done some work on my email. I've recently taken the email app off of my phone because I have the bad habit of opening an email and not being in a position to take care of it.
Yep.
And then it gets buried
Yeah.
in all of my other emails. And so I have myself suffered from this. So
Yeah.
what did I do? I had to figure out a system that stopped allowing me to check the emails when I'm not actually ready to take care of the emails. And
Yeah.
so, yes, I don't love that the client showed up at your house, but I do love that that was the catalyst for you to get a CRM to make sure that that never happened again. Because the funny thing is, when I'm doing, customer research on people who take my course or hire me for their setups, I mean, most of them come from a fear of being like one step away from a 1-star review. It's like they have this constant fear that they're forgetting something, that they're not taking care of one of their clients, that they're not giving all of their clients the same consistent experience. And so it's like that fear that gets them to, create better systems in their business. And I'm here for it. I would like to eliminate everyone's stress. And so I'm really glad that you found a CRM, at least initially.
Yeah.
I mean, you did a couple hops. I've done a couple hops too.
Oh gosh. It's like you got to try on some pants before you buy the best pair of pants. It's okay.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you there. I mean, and CRMs are really so powerful. So, I mean, I love that is never going to happen to you again. No one is ever going to show up at your house because like, at least it was at your house though. Like I've had a previous guest who talked about something very similar. Like they all of a sudden realized that they had missed a sunrise session and it was like 7 o'clock and they were supposed to be at a beach that was like 35, minutes away from their house. So at least the client came to you and you didn't have to try to put on all your clothes and drive very quickly to wherever you were supposed to be.
I will share with you one of my most embarrassing stories. So my client, this is actually within like a 2-week period. And this is like sort of really the catalyst for the CRMs, because this was like a double down. So a client of mine showed up a day early for her family session with her entire family with 4 kids all dressed. This was the one day I decided, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You know what I'm going to have? I'm going to have a Bailey's and coffee. I'm going to have a second Bailey's and coffee. Oh, this was so good. I think I might have a third Bailey's and coffee. I was tipsy. And so they show up and I was like, and I don't day drink ever. Like this was such a random, weird situation. And so they show up here, I was like, oh my God, FedEx guy, what did I order? No, it's my client a day early with her entire family ready to go. I'm like, well, I can't drive. This is what happened. You guys are a day early. I'm happy to go shoot. But I've had a few drinks. Yeah, so that happened. So, and the most hilarious part is now they're very, very good friends of mine now. We went to the session, they drove. Obviously, I didn't
Mhm.
drive. It wasn't like I was drunk or anything. But the kids to this day say that was their favorite session with Lisa.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so awesome. I mean, I will say, so clients don't come to my house, so I don't have that worry. But during my full day in the lives, I
Yeah,
mean, often we will have drinks at
yeah,
dinner or at the
yeah.
end of the night. And I know one time I was doing one of my day in the lives and we were at dinner and the dad kept ordering me cocktails. And I was like, I have to
Like I'm
function the camera.
working.
Like, I
Yes.
need your pictures not to be, blurry and out
Blurry.
of focus because
Like
I can't hold my camera. So, I mean, hysterical. I mean, I did finish that session. It was awesome.
so good.
But that was the only time that I worried about, not being able to function as a photographer because
Yeah.
maybe I should, no more cocktails, Dad. I'm
No,
good.
no cocktails
I'm
and
good.
cameras. It's a bad idea for me.
So I think we're going to end on that story because legitimately it was the most awesome story ever. And I feel the need to go downstairs and make myself an espresso martini. So tell the listening audience, for those photographers who are probably listening, what are the dates for the next business retreat?
So the business retreat starts September 28th, and our teachers will be in the group until October 11th. But you can start getting your ticket on sale on the 21st of September. So I really hope to see you guys there. I have been watching all the incredible videos and presentations, and I can't even tell you how excited I am and the transformations I know you're going to be getting.
Oh, awesome. And guys, that link is going to be in the show notes. That's all for today. Thanks for listening.